Well, hello there. Hi, I'm Ryan, and welcome back to another episode of Breakdown. Now, you all know my good friend Marco from Markham 3D. He recently did a animated short film for the 10-day Lights Camera Action competition, and I had the pleasure of doing the sound design for it. Sound design is a very important part of the post-production process. Sound and visuals go hand in hand. Watch a movie on mute. What do you think? It's pretty boring, right? Beyond vocals, you need sound to tell you what is happening in the scene. For instance, you might hear something that you might not see on screen at first, or you might not notice something at all because it didn't make any sound. A lot of the time, sounds from the day of filming won't be used, and they will instead be added in post-production. One of the benefits of this is being able to blend a series of takes together. You could film one side of a shot reverse shot at 8 o'clock in the morning and the other one at 1 in the afternoon, and you'd hear the sound jump when the visuals changed. But doing it in post-production allows you to put one track under both shots and make the whole shot seamless. Sound design also changes the way that you perceive what you're seeing on screen. For instance, if you want something to seem bigger, you can change the sound, even if that's not what it sounded like when you were filming. A really good example of this is to make the Joker more intimidating in Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight. He swapped out the machine pistol sound effects for the sound effects of a minigun. A minigun and machine pistol have a very different sound, but in that particular scene it added a little bit more of a punch and made the Joker seem just that much more intimidating. So today I just want to take you through how I did sound design for this animated short film. Now before we hook into this episode of Breakdown, I highly recommend that you go and check out the short film on Marco's channel. There is a link up there and in the description box below. Also, my lighting is a little bit different. I think it's pretty cool, but let me know what you think in the comments. So we're just going to open up ye old faithful, Premiere Pro. So there's a lot of different programs that you can use for sound effects, but no matter what program you like to finish your audio in, you will start by dropping it into your editing program. You can use different programs to finalize it, but I like to stick just inside Premiere Pro. The first thing is just watching the footage, going through, getting an idea of what kind of sounds you'd like, what kind of things are interesting, what you can use to your advantage. So for instance, in this first shot, we have a spaceship. So I probably want some kind of spaceship sound, maybe a whoosh sound effect, and I want some kind of punch as well. So I'll go through and just listen to sounds and just whatever I want. Grab all this spaceship stuff. This Splat Crunch, because a couple of that. Squeaking series. And I'll bring those into Premiere Pro. So once you've got your sounds in Premiere Pro, or whatever video editing software that you're using, you just start dragging and dropping. And it's important to remember that you're not going to find exactly what you want off the bat. Sounds on their own might not sound quite right, but when you layer them and do a couple of tweaks and crossfades, you're going to get something really good. So let's have a look at this. So that there is 4 different sound effects. You've got an initial punch. Then we've got this noise of engines flying past. We have this explosion sound effect. And we have this whoosh. So they all sound really weird on their own, but together they sound really cool. So it's really important to experiment with stacking your sound. So once I've got all my initial sounds laid out, I'll go back and do a second pass. This includes adding ambient sound effects, which is important. Everywhere you are has an ambient sound of some kind. Think about the room that you're in right now. Like, if you pause the video and just listen, what can you hear? In my room right now, I can hear the computer humming, as well as the air conditioning. I can hear the little creaks of the office chair as I swivel slightly while talking to you. So you need to add some of that in your film as well. So for this, I just found a low humming sound, and I play that whenever you're inside of the spaceship. It doesn't need to be overly prominent, it just needs to be in the background to fill that dead space. So after I've got all my ambience layers and everything in the film, I'm going to go back and add reverb. Oh hey, it's Editing Ryan here. So I did an absolute awful job of explaining what reverb was when I filmed this. Reverb is essentially a type of echo, but instead of having a really delayed echo, reverb will simulate what sound is like when it's bouncing off and being absorbed by the walls of a room. For instance, here are the button presses. And let's play the original button presses. So the original one just sounds like a button press. With the reverb and a little bit of volume tweaking, it sounds like it's in the room. So I'll go through and I'll tweak all of that for all my little clips when necessary until I get something that I'm happy with. So now we can move on to my favorite effect, which is the robot flying. So this sound had me stumped for a long time. Like, what does a floating robot sound like? I don't know. So I did a lot of digging around and I finally came across this clip from 1997 film Flubber.
It's not a conventional emergency.
And that right there is what I wanted the robot to sound like.
Conventional emergency.
Now I had to find the effects. Of course, the first thing I did was just Google Weibo sound effects. And that didn't work. So I just tried to find something similar. I tried searching for flying robot sound effects, floating robot sound effects, hover sound effects. Nothing really worked. And then I remembered that there was a similar sound effect in a certain movie from 1999. It's kind of got that rhythm. So I downloaded that sound effect and I extended it to a 5-minute loop, leaving me with this. Now that doesn't sound too good, right? Not for a floating robot. So I sped that up 300%. Still doesn't sound too great, right? Not really. Then I added something called a low pass effect, and that just cuts off all the really high frequencies and keeps it all fairly low. So now it sounds a little bit muffled. It's still not good, but it's getting better. So the next thing I did was add a pitch shifting effect, and that allows me just to raise and lower the pitch whenever I want. And that's pretty much the final sound effect. I raised the pitch when the robot was moving faster, and then I lowered the pitch when it was static. It still sounds a little bit off, but when you lower the volume by about 30 decibels, which is all we really need, the robot's not on screen a whole lot, it doesn't move a whole lot, but that leaves us with a really nice, subtle sound effect. So there you go, that's our floating robot sound effect. If I had to offer any advice for people doing sound design, I would definitely say, remember to stack your audio. Weird sounds that don't really match what you're trying to do, when layered, can make something amazing. And remember to play with the speed and the pitch of your audio. Because you can take something like the sound effect of Sebulba's Pod Racer and turn it into something for a floating robot. But it doesn't even need to be something as complex as that. It can be something simple. Do you need a heavy object to land and crush rocks? Simple. You can take this sound, which is just a footstep on gravel, slow it down to 30%, and then you've got a heavy object slowly crushing some rocks. And that combined with several different sound effects, once again, gets you So that's how I do sound design for a film. It's nothing too extravagant. I know some people will take all of their audio once it's placed in and export it to a different program where they can tweak it further, but I like just doing it in Premiere Pro. I just think it keeps it simple and it does what I want. Now, all of my sounds I used in this short film were from a website called freesound.org. It is an absolutely fantastic website for sound. If you need sound effects for anything, just create a free account and download whatever you want. There is no limit to how much you can download, although the site will ask you to donate if you're downloading a lot, which I really recommend you do. It is a great source of royalty-free sound effects that everyone can use. If you'd like to see a breakdown episode on recording specific sound effects for film, leave a comment below. Be sure to like the video, let me know how I did, and please, if you like this content, subscribe to the channel, check out some of my short films, some of the prop build videos. Please consider clicking the subscribe button. I'm, really trying to grow the audience a little bit this year, so liking, subscribing, sharing the channel around, sharing just a favorite video of yours around, it's all gonna draw in new viewers, and that's really where we want to be this year. So thank you very much for watching this episode of Breakdown, and I will see you next time.